Hello once again, friends. Welcome to the Lighthouse podcast. My name is Alex Camargo, here with my good friend Danny Silva, and we have a great friend on the podcast today, Mr. Chris Miller, a mortgage agent with the Forte Financial Group. Chris, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. In today's episode, we're going to bring you a lot of information about mortgages, especially some new programs that Chris has going on. Check this out after this. Welcome back, folks, to this hot topic in 2023, mortgages, more specifically interest rates. And we brought a good friend here, Mr. Chris Miller. Chris, how you doing?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me today.
Danny?
It.
Chris Miller, thanks for joining us, my brother. It's been a while. We've been trying to get you here for a while now.
He's been busy.
This guy's the busiest guy in town. Yeah.
Busy trying to keep up with you too.
Yeah.
All right, so Chris, let's dig a little deeper into who you are. You've, of course, been a personal friend, and you've been a friend for a long time. We have something in common way back when, almost 10 years ago, we got licensed in real estate around the same time.
Yeah, I think it was pretty close, within a couple of months of each other, right?
Yeah. And we started with the same company. So today you're a mortgage agent, but you have the real estate agent experience and background, right? That I'm assuming will help you here with your mortgage clients and also with the real estate agents that you're dealing with now in those transactions. Let's start with that. How does being a real estate agent or having been a real estate agent in the past help you do mortgages?
I mean, for me, it honestly comes across just in a way that I understand the process. I kind of felt that way as going into it. That was part of the transition for me is feeling like that I could really understand what the agent needed on both sides of the transaction, kind of what the buyer needs and goes throughout the process. That was my initial kind of push for myself as to why to do this in the first place, because there was some service expectations that I felt like I could fulfill as a realtor, but it was kind of lacking in other ways. So that was kind of my initial push in this direction, and focusing on the kind of the micro details of each transaction versus kind of the whole picture. But I enjoy that camaraderie working with the agents. I think that's one of my favorite parts about the transition is I get to go back and work with like all these cool people that I've met over the last 10 years, like you guys. And it's so much fun to do a transaction with you guys and then work with your people in your sphere. And that's what I've really enjoyed.
I'm sure that transition was easier for you, right? Whenever you transitioned in the past, because you would get to work with a whole bunch of agents that you had already worked with in the past as well. So there's already trust there, right? They already know all your qualities. They already know that you're, a stand-up guy and that you're going to pick up the phone and all of that because you had transactions with the other agents in the past, right? So now, as you started coming in as a mortgage agent, then they could just it's Chris.
I would say that I got a little bit of street credit from that right off the bat. There were some certain people that I would say, kind of immediately gave me trust, like you, for instance, one of the first people that I started working with right off the bat. And I mean, that to me is an honor, that I get that amount of trust from people. I mean, I don't take it lightly.
Yeah, in my opinion, that's perfect combination right there. If you did something before, which is, real estate, work with clients, and now you're doing the mortgage part of it, that goes hand to hand because now you understand the perspective from the realtor, what they expect and everything like that. Because one of the things that we try to add value to our clients is to understand the mortgage process as well, right? So we know, we always try to keep up to date with rates and programs and stuff like that because the more that you can bring to the table, the more credibility you get with your clients. So by you going in with that in mind already, it's a lot different from somebody who's just becoming a loan officer or just starting to learn about mortgages and stuff like that. You already had a vast amount of knowledge when you went into it. So that I'm sure that really helped you, not only the knowledge that you gain as a realtor, but also knowing this side. I was actually talking to an attorney, and he's an insurance attorney. and all he does is insurance the other day. But he worked for insurance companies for 13 years, and now he works for the public. And so he knew exactly what the public needs because he worked for that long with the insurance company. So I think that
he's got the inside scoop on really what needs to flow for the whole thing to work well. And then you kind of see the other side of it.
Yeah, exactly. Because maybe some mortgage agents out there could be like, oh, this guy's not patient or like calls me every day. But then you knowing, that as a realtor that your client's also pressuring you every day to know like what's the update and everything like that.
So if you get a call from us at 11 o'clock at night, you understand that.
Oh no, and that's the thing. I understand the mindset of it. I think that's kind of I end up spending more time on the phone with my mortgage clients, or just as much time with my mortgage clients, when I did when I was a realtor, in the sense where I'm kind of coaching them through and helping them understand, and like really trying to. My biggest thing is like trying to make sure that you're not on the other side of the deal, whether you're the buyer or the seller or the agent, the buyer's agent or the seller's agent, and everybody's kind of like, well, where are we?
Yeah.
I don't want anybody I work with to feel like that.
Yeah.
Because I've been on the other side of that, and I hate that feeling. I don't want to have people that I work with feel like that, and it would drive me nuts as a realtor. So like that, I try really hard as the loan officer on any deal to just spend that time, even if it's an extra 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it means the world to people most of the time.
It's we say this all the time. It's such a big purchase, and it's most people's biggest purchase, right? And it ends up being buying a house ends up being most people's biggest investment as well. So when they're coming in, a lot of the clients that we work with, a lot of the people buying homes with us, and I'm sure this happened with you in the past as well. Like they have no idea of the whole process. Right. And then as an agent, we sit here and we give them a lot of time. I tell my clients all the time, look, I got anywhere between 15 and 40 hours of information to give you. Because I go above and beyond trying to give you information about everything, right? The little bit that I learned from the mortgage guys. And then we talk about mortgages all the time because I'm trying to learn more so I can pass on that information. I talk to attorneys all the time. I talk to inspectors all the time just to continue to retain all that information and then give it in a way that my clients could understand even before we start the process. So when the process unfolds, they can already have a good idea of what it's going to be because it's already been talked to them about before. Mortgage process, it's super complicated, right? So if all you do is throw out this lingo at the clients and they have no idea what it is, it's just going to go right above their head. And so like I appreciate the professionals that we work with who are teachers at heart, it's a team of people helping the client buy a house, but also inform the client along the way, which is a really good thing.
I know you've touched on doing it before, but like buyer consultations are always something that I think in some instances get forgotten. Yeah. They just get people out and you're just looking at a house.
I'll meet you at the house for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, and granted, sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes people can't get out of their own way when it comes to looking at a house. They just need to kind of get started. But really understanding the process is something that not everybody does take the time to do. So whether it's an agent or it's myself or however you want to look at it, I feel like somebody needs to be kind of that primary educator throughout the process. And if it ends up being me, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Alex always talks about us being we're educators. We educate people on how to make a good decision on how to on the sale of their property or when they're buying one. And but going into that, I have a question for you. Obviously with all the years that you had experience with as a realtor, real estate, not only you, but your better half as well. Big shout out to Randy on that.
Thank you. I'm sure she'll appreciate that.
With all the years that you have experience in real estate, by getting your mortgage license, inevitably you would be a huge asset to any mortgage companies out there. I'm sure you had options. There's some big ones out there, and you decide to go with a local brokerage. I want you to tell us why did you make that decision, and what are the advantages of working with the local brokerage and not like the big guys out there that we see on TV every day that's in your faces. And so tell us a little bit about that, Chris.
Well, I'll start by just describing my decision to go to Forte Financial was based on some personal experience as a realtor with clients some complicated transactions where, somebody that's not as creative as James is would have put me at a disadvantage.
Shout out to James.
Shout out to James Forte.
James Forte is mortgages his forte.
Yeah. They are. He is the creative genius behind the curtain, like without a doubt. I can't thank him enough for all the knowledge he passes along to me. I mean, honestly, like as a realtor, he educated me, but now as a loan officer out of his office,
Right.
It definitely, I feel like I have the upper hand in the sense that I'm empowered with all the information. Whereas before I felt like, when you work with a loan officer, and some are great. So don't take that as I'm putting everybody down. It's just some are very informative and some are not. Some are just there for the transaction. Some want to help you through the process. But James was just full of information and kind of creative ways to come up with solutions to problems throughout a deal. And then the broker part of it, just to kind of truncate this, was, if you're working with a buyer or borrower that's purchasing a home and a complication comes up throughout a transaction that, let's say, is not necessarily not fixable but problematic, well, maybe one mortgage lender is going to be easier on them than another is. So when you work for a broker, we can call up another mortgage lender the same day that we have the problem with the current one we're working with and say, hey, we have this happening with this situation, this scenario. Do your guidelines allow for this change? All right, well, not you. Okay, well, how about this one? And how about that one? I had a recent client come to me that they were going after a property that was complicated. It was mixed use and it was residential, but it is commercial, but, just complicated. Well, they sat and waited for 2 or 3 months to get an answer, whereas we called 6 or 7 of our investors and had an answer in basically 72 hours. So I think the availability of information and options was the biggest reason that I went to the broker. It's just that there's really not to sound conceited, there's just not much we can't do.
Yeah. Well, you sound conceited.
James, send this guy his flowers, James. Give him a promotion or something.
Shout out to James for that. But I mean, he made it happen in the sense that there's just not much we can't do, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's 2023. For the last 6 months, interest rates has been by far the biggest topic in real estate, right? So now we hear that rates are coming down a little bit. They're touching the 5s now, and of course, you've been working with high 5s for a while longer because you guys are able to tweak the rates a little bit and make it work for the client, right? So with that said, we know that interest rates will still be the talk of the town for the next few months or years or a couple of years to come as we get past these high interest rates and then come down to what I think of 4.5% or 5% is a fair interest rate for
agreed.
For housing.
I don't think we'll ever see 2% and 3% ever again. A normal rate's in the 4s for somebody with great credit score and some good income and good credit history.
Yeah. 3 is unsustainable as much as 7 is, right, for housing, right? So
just doesn't work.
Exactly. So what new programs or what old programs that you think may come up to the surface again right now that can help first-time buyers buy a home, and then that can also help investors buy a home, right? So I know that we've talked in the past, and actually we talk about this almost every week when we go out for coffee, about the different programs that you can offer a lot of investors out there. Some of them, no bank state or just a bank statement program, no income tax returns. You don't have to look at that. Those are very attractive for a lot of our clients because they have their businesses. They write off a lot of the stuff on their businesses and they depreciate a lot of assets in their businesses. And then at the end of when they file for their taxes, there's not a lot of money left over that you can use. But you have many other different programs that you don't have to look at tax statements at all.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I would say the biggest utilization of a program is our new P&L program. So, I mean, we're not looking at bank statements. We're not looking at tax returns. You're having a certified tax preparer or your CPA fill out basically a form that is a P&L based on your business or businesses. And then based on that, and that's 12 months of history, not 24 months, like all these self-employed borrowers that have to wait 2 years. It's not the case anymore. Most of the time, you can get away with 12 months. You got to show 2 years of employment history, but 12 months P&L or 12 months of bank statements if you wanted to go that route. But the P&L model is so simple, instead of it taking days to dig through 12 months of bank statements and transactions on businesses that we know have so much money coming in and out every day, the P&L model is just so much simpler, and it makes the process just so much more painless for the buyer or borrower.
And what's a good idea of a down payment on some of these programs?
I mean, typically they're going to want 20% down. And it, honestly, it depends. Some of them will go up to 15% down. But there are some stipulations that go, with each program. If it's an investor program, it can't be a primary residence.
Yeah.
If it's a non-investor program and it's going to be a primary residence, there's some flexibility there. But the P&L model is just the way to go, and it just makes it so simple for the borrowers.
Just in case somebody doesn't know what a P&L is,
Your profit and loss statement based on your company's
just
assets and income.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, asking for a friend. I like that.
And what about your first-time buyer?
Well, and that's where I feel like there's some, no love lost for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. There's still some great programs out there, and I think in some ways, I don't know if they're forgotten or people just don't talk about them enough. But Home Ready, Home Possible, Borrow Smart, these are some programs that have been around for a while. If there's a calculation based on the area median income, and so if you're, I think for Fairfield County, generally speaking, is like $69,000. That's 50%. If you're under that 50% as a single person and you want to purchase a home, Fannie or Freddie will give you a closing credit. Depending on where you are in that calculation, it could be $1,250, it could be $2,500. That's free money from them as a lender, credit to you at closing. And at the same time, let's just say you don't have more than 3% down and you have maybe a 670 or a 680 credit score. When you go into a program like that based on your income, there's caps on the fees that the lenders charge you because you're in this first-time homebuyer program. And it could mean $6,000 less in costs in some instances on maybe a $300,000 mortgage, that if you don't take the time to kind of seek out what's best for your client and look at all options and not just throw them into this one single box,
the cookie cutter,
you kind of forget about what's out there. And we helped somebody utilize that program recently, and I mean, she just didn't have a lot of money, but the $2,500 credit made all the difference in the world to her. And at the same time, she got a better rate because she was in that program, and she was able to buy her first home at like 25 years old. It was a pretty awesome feeling to like meet her at the closing, and they were engaged, and they didn't have a lot of money, but they actually own a home. I mean, it's a condo, but they own their own property, and they can start building equity in themselves. And that was kind of the nice part for me. And they were so grateful.
That's awesome.
Which was really cool.
Well, my friend, thank you so much for being here with us today. You've given us a lot of information. I'm sure that our friends and followers of our channel will appreciate all the information that you're giving. We're going to leave your information down below, all your social media stuff, your contact information. So if they ever want to hear more about what you have to offer, or I'm sure that they can call you for questions and you'll be...
Absolutely. I don't know if now would be a good time to bring it up or not, but one of the things that kind of Forte Financial specializes in is refinance programs. And people may not think of it right now because maybe they just bought in September, October, November, December, even when rates were sometimes in the 7s. But we have a really cool refinance program where we are able to offer a lender credit to offset the cost to refinance. And it could be to the tune of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, depending on where your rate is now and where we can get you. But maybe it only saves you $150 a month, but your rate drops 0.75%. But you literally do it with no cost, or I could probably buy you dinner to celebrate. Now's the time.
Make sure that you invite us.
Oh, okay? I'm including you too. But that's just it. I mean, I think the mindset of the buyer or borrowers is, I have to wait a year, or rates have to drop a whole %. No, that's not the case. Talk to the creative folks out there that have these kind of programs that will really help people out, because maybe that $150 a month, covers some sort of need in the household.
That's more groceries. I know you can only get like 3 or 4 items.
Or it's a date night. Yeah. You don't know, but $150 a month, and if it costs you nothing to do it, let us save you money.
You do every time the rates drop significantly, then you can...
Basically every 6 months. I mean, if it's your initial time, we can pretty much do it at any point. I mean, we've done it weeks after a closing.
That really adds up over the course of,
if you look at the amortization over 30 years on 0.75%, it's huge. But just the monthly payment and no cost to do it, why not?
It's a no-brainer. Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, take those $150 and put them into a Roth IRA, and
even if you just keep spending the same amount of money, right?
30 years from now, 30 years from now, millionaire.
Bro. Well, my friend, thank you so much. again, we'll leave your information down for our friends who want to contact you. I really appreciate your friendship and your guidance, especially in with mortgage. It's always good to have the friend that you can call and explain a situation and say, like, this is where we are. What advice would you give me? And you've been given it freely, so I really appreciate that.
No, and you guys are of the same mindset, like kind of rising tides raise all ships, and even as realtors, in a sense, you're competitors, but it was never like that with you guys. It was always, let's help each other grow. Let's help each other find new ways to get business. Let's do the right thing. Let's give realtors a better reputation. And I thank you for that, because you kind of made me better in that way. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And friends, if you enjoyed this episode, do us a favor, smash that like button for us, subscribe, and share this with a friend. You may have a friend who's going through the process of buying a home right now. We keep bringing all these other professionals here that can help along the way and give more information and add more value to our friends and followers on our YouTube channel. And if you got somebody who's buying a property this year, we're going to put a link up here for another video of another episode that we just did that's going to describe what the initial process is to get ready to buy that home. And again, thank you so much for being here with us. We'll see you next time.